Jungkook's latest interview shocks ARMY. We're all so different. But there's one thing about Taehyung I truly admire. The K-pop world is once again buzzing after a candid and unexpectedly deep statement from Jungkook in his latest rolling interview, an interview that quickly went viral and sparked intense discussion among fans worldwide. What started as a relaxed and lighthearted conversation turned into something much more meaningful. Jungkook opened up about the real dynamics between the members of BTS, and fans were not ready for how honest he would be. We're actually very different. In one of the most talked about moments, Jungkook said, "Honestly, the seven of us are very different from each other." It wasn't shocking, but hearing it directly from him made it feel real in a new way. He continued, explaining that their differences go far beyond what fans usually see. Different backgrounds, different lifestyles, different music tastes, different favorite foods, even completely different daily rhythms. With a soft smile, he reflected on their journey. Sometimes it feels like we come from completely different worlds. But maybe that's why we've lasted this long. Life behind the perfect image. To many fans, BTS has always looked like the definition of perfect teamwork, synchronized, united, and emotionally connected. But Jungkook revealed a more realistic side. He admitted that in the early days, those differences weren't always easy. There were moments when they had to learn how to understand each other, adjust, and even compromise to keep moving forward together. And through that process, something stronger was built. We're not the same. And that's okay. A simple sentence, but one that resonated deeply with fans around the world. The name that changed the atmosphere, Taehyung. Then came the moment that truly captured everyone's attention. Jungkook mentioned Kim Taehyung. With a softer tone and a genuine smile, he said, "Out of all the members, I like Taehyung's lifestyle the most." That one line instantly became the highlight of the entire interview. Taehyung's simple way of living. Jungkook elaborated on what he meant, giving fans a rare glimpse into how he sees Taehyung. According to him, Taehyung lives in a way that feels refreshingly simple, easygoing, uncomplicated, not overly concerned with small things, naturally playful, brings a relaxed energy wherever he goes. He's just really chill. Sometimes I wonder how he manages to stay that relaxed. Jungkook laughed as he said it, but the admiration was clear. He makes everything lighter. One of the things Jungkook appreciates most is Taehyung's ability to lighten the mood. When things get tiring, he can suddenly make everything feel easier. In an industry known for its intense pressure, that kind of presence becomes incredibly valuable. For Jungkook, Taehyung isn't just a teammate, he's someone who brings balance. Fans react, emotional and curious. As soon as clips of the interview spread online, fans reacted instantly. Some were deeply touched by Jungkook's honesty, while others began analyzing every word. Here are some of the reactions. "This feels so real. I'm emotional." The way he talks about Taehyung is different. Now I understand their bond even more. There's something deeper here. More than just admiration? Naturally, speculation followed. Was this simply admiration between close friends? Or was there something more meaningful behind Jungkook's words? There's no clear answer, and that's what keeps fans talking. But one thing is undeniable. The way Jungkook spoke about Taehyung felt more personal, warmer, and more detailed than usual. Differences that bring them together. Looking back at Jungkook's earlier statement, it becomes clear that their differences might actually be their greatest strength. They are not the same. They don't always agree. They live in their own unique ways. And yet they choose to stay together. Maybe that's exactly what makes BTS so special. A simple confession with a big impact. There was no dramatic reveal, no shocking twist, just honesty. Jungkook didn't try to create a perfect image. He didn't hide the reality. He simply shared his thoughts, and that authenticity is what made the moment powerful. Why this interview went viral? Several factors made this interview explode online. Rare honesty from Jungkook, direct mention of Taehyung, the emotional tone behind his words, how relatable the message feels. As more full clips from the interview began circulating, fans realized something important. This wasn't just a passing comment from Jungkook. It was a reflection shaped by years of living, training, struggling, and growing together inside BTS. The longer version of the interview revealed additional layers of meaning behind his words. Jungkook didn't just stop at saying they were different, he went deeper. When you spend so many years together, you start noticing the smallest things. The way someone eats, the way they rest, how they react when they're tired. Everything. This level of observation hinted at how closely the members truly understand each other, not as public figures, but as individuals behind closed doors. Flashback, the early days of BTS. To fully understand Jungkook's statement, fans began revisiting the early years of BTS. Back then, they were just 7 trainees with completely different personalities. Some were loud and expressive, others were quiet and observant. Some were driven by structure, others followed pure instinct. Jungkook, being the youngest, was often seen absorbing everything around him. "I think I learned something different from each member," he said during the interview. But among all those influences, one stood out in a unique way: Taehyung's unpredictable charm. When the conversation returned to Kim Taehyung, Jungkook's tone subtly shifted again, this time more reflective. He described Taehyung as someone who doesn't try to fit into expectations. He doesn't overthink things. He just feels them. That sentence alone sent fans into a frenzy. Because in an industry where perfection is often calculated and controlled, Taehyung's natural, almost instinctive way of living stands out. Jungkook added, "Sometimes I think I worry too much." But Taehyung just lives in the moment. Opposites that balance each other? This contrast quickly became a major talking point. Fans began comparing their personalities. Jungkook, disciplined, detail-oriented, often striving for perfection. Taehyung, spontaneous, free-spirited, emotionally expressive. And suddenly, Jungkook's admiration made even more sense. "It's not that I want to be exactly like him, but I like that part of him." That clarification only made things more interesting. A small habit fans never noticed. In one unexpected part of the interview, Jungkook shared a tiny detail that immediately caught fans' attention. Sometimes when we're resting, Taehyung just lies down and stares at the ceiling. No phone, no music, just thinking. At first glance, it sounded ordinary, but Jungkook explained why it stood out to him. "I can't do that easily. My mind is always busy." That simple comparison revealed a deeper difference in how they experience the world. Moments of pressure. The interview also touched on the pressure that comes with global fame. As members of BTS, their schedules are intense, their expectations high, and their personal time limited. Jungkook admitted, "There are times when everything feels overwhelming, and in those moments, Taehyung doesn't try to fix it. He just stays the same." That consistency, according to Jungkook, is what makes Taehyung special. He doesn't change who he is. This might be the most powerful statement from the entire interview. No matter what happens, he's still him. For Jungkook, that authenticity is something rare, especially in an environment where people often feel pressured to adapt, perform, or hide parts of themselves. Fans begin connecting the dots. After hearing the full interview, fans started revisiting past moments, old behind-the-scenes clips, interviews from previous years, casual interactions caught on camera. And suddenly, small details began to feel more meaningful. Moments that once seemed random now looked intentional. Interactions that felt playful now carried emotional weight. The internet reacts again. As deeper translations and analyses spread, discussions intensified. Some fans focused on the emotional sincerity. "This is the most real I've ever heard Jungkook speak. You can tell he truly respects Taehyung." Others couldn't help but speculate further. "Why does this feel so personal?" There's a story behind this. I just know it. A psychological perspective. Interestingly, some fans even began analyzing Jungkook's words from a psychological angle. They suggested that admiration often reflects something we feel we lack or wish to develop. If that's the case, then Jungkook's appreciation for Taehyung's simplicity might reveal something deeper about his own inner struggles. Not weakness, but growth. Growth through differences. By the end of the interview, one thing became clear. The differences Jungkook talked about at the beginning were not barriers. They were building blocks. Each member brings something unique. Each personality adds a different color. And together they create something that wouldn't exist otherwise. The line that stayed with fans? Out of everything Jungkook said, one line continued to echo across fan communities. I like the way he lives. No dramatic explanation. No complicated meaning. Just a quiet, honest feeling. What happens next? Since the interview, fans have been watching more closely than ever. Every interaction between Jungkook and Kim Taehyung now carries a new layer of meaning. A glance, a laugh, a simple moment. All of it feels different. Final reflection. In the end, maybe this interview wasn't meant to reveal something shocking. Maybe it was meant to remind us of something simple, that even in a world of fame, pressure, and expectations, genuine admiration still exists. And sometimes it shows up in the quietest way possible,